All right. Let me share my screen. Sorry. Okay. So mainly today, I think we just need to go over how all the caps are doing. So we got the migration and the credential provider caps both merged as implementable. So I think like up until code freeze, we're all just working on implementation, right? And API server proxy work to the data. Before we go into the cap implementations, I did want to highlight this one PR here. So someone opened I asked one of our community members who was looking to be a member to, who's also developing the cloud stack provider, to write some docs on how to do the entry to external provider manually. And so there's currently a work in progress doc. I had recommended to use AWS as kind of the example provider, just because most of our users are on AWS, and it just seemed like, it might as well just use one that has the most users. So he is currently just writing a guide on what you have to do manually to get it working. So if you guys can review it and make sure that it's correct, that'd be great. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so let's just jump into cap updates. And Kendall, if you wanted to add anything here, feel free to just add to the agenda if you want anything, any topics around the cloud provider extraction or migration discussed.
Okay, we'll do. I got nothing right now.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll go first with the CCM migration. So I have a working branch off of this PR I opened a while ago. It's working, but it's not like, I think it needs to be polished a lot. So we need to agree, like, so some things we didn't agree on in the KEP was like the exact naming of component flags and the exact, like the API type for the config. So Kendall, just to give you a quick update on this, this is so this PR is an implementation of this KEP, and this KEP is a feature that we're offering to users who need to do a zero downtime migration of in-tree to out-of-tree cloud provider on HA clusters.
Okay, got it.
So it's a very narrow use case for very large clusters that are HA and have very strict requirements on uptime. Most users, we're going to recommend just doing a cold upgrade of their cluster. So just like remove the in-tree, upgrade your cluster, and then enable out-of-tree.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over some of the, okay, so like obviously like this needs to be updated to, I think in the KEP we said we're gonna have a flag that takes in a path to file which has the config. Do we have, so in my branch right now, I just named it controller migration config. I'm not sure if are you like, what do folks think of that name? Good? Okay. I mean, it keeps it generic. I don't know if this is going to be used by other teams, but it keeps it generic and seems to make sense. Walter, you're muted.
Right, I am. I'll tell you on the GCE side, we've got like 5 controllers, and so I would like to start compacting those down to 2, maybe 3. And so I think at least on my side, it definitely has some value. I think at some point there are 1 or 2 controllers the security team would like to break out. So I think there is a lot of value in keeping it generic.
Okay.
Is there a question between like leader and controller, or like are those distinct here?
So the leader part would be outlined in the config file. So right now it would look like this. But like the flag I was talking about is just a config pointing to where this file is. So like my next question was like, are we happy with this config or do we want to change it?
Do you guys think leader makes more sense than controller?
So leader migration config.
Right.
Like I feel like controller makes sense because what we're migrating is the controllers and the leader election is just the mechanism we're using to do that.
Yeah, it seems
I'm
like
not
it's an
sure.
implementation detail, right?
Yeah. So yeah, like to me, controller makes sense. Yeah, because the leader election part is just the how we're doing it. And I don't know, maybe we need, like, I'm wondering if like in the future, there's gonna be different types to implement the migration. So so maybe that can be determined by the kind of the config or something else. I don't know, Walter, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So leader name. So the leader name is the name of the lock.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just, yeah. And then the component. I guess, yeah, really the only thing I would question is the use of the word component.
I think actually in the CAP, I think we said it was going to be manager, right?
Yeah, and that makes sense to me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll change that. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'll run with that to get that first PR up. And do we still want a feature gate, or do we feel that like having to make the config and like add a flag to point to the config is enough of a feature gate for this?
Yeah, I feel like the fact that you actually have to actively turn this on is sufficient.
Okay, works for me. Okay, that's it, at least for me. Hopefully I will have a PR. I might get this out of work in progress either tomorrow or early next week. Okay. API server proxy.
Is that that's the network proxy, right? Sorry. I think we're doing pretty well on getting things done. A lot of work happened recently, so we've got a lot of the load balancing. We've been doing a bunch of perf testing. I'm pretty hopeful that we actually hit beta on this in 1.18. So I mean, there's still quite a few fixes, and I realize we've only got a couple of weeks left, but things are looking pretty good. And definitely a shout out to Patrick, Chow, and Jeffrey for all the great work they've been doing. Yeah, Chow is CHAO.
Awesome. Okay, credential provider.
So I've really just started the implementation this week. I was on call last week. So I would say, let's see, when is the code freeze, by the way? It's like March 5th or something?
I'm trying to remember exactly, but March 5th or 6th sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I will aim, I want to say like initial PR by the next meeting in 2 weeks, I think is a reasonable. So that would be the
Cool.
27th.
Yeah, and that one would definitely have to be feature gated, right? Would it? Yeah, it would, because yeah. Okay.
Sorry, can you say that one more time? I missed it.
No, I was just asking if like we need to feature create that, and I think we do. But I forgot how we like. Did we decide? Did we already determine the cap how we're discovering the plugin mechanism? Like the plugin, is it just like directory discovery, and then
Yeah,
we find.
in the KEP, it's a directory. Or actually, I did get feedback on that at the end. Let me see if I changed it to respond to feedback. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to figure it out now. So for alpha, are we gonna are we just saying like alpha like the features alpha, or are we gonna have like a specific implementation of it that's gonna also alpha?
It's a good question. Like
Like can
I
we
think
get like
we
PCR?
obviously should have some implementation, but I guess that could be kind of a fast follow after, like that doesn't need to be finished by the code freeze, right?
Where does it live?
I mean, it
Anywhere.
could be anywhere,
Well,
right?
Well, so I think there's two things. I mean, it'd be nice to have a reference implementation. And
But-
I guess really what I care about is where does the reference live? I mean, is it, yeah.
I
Like-
would think it wouldn't be in Kate's, right?
No, and that's fine, right? That's what we did with the API server network proxy as well. And the nice thing is if you do that, then you can continue working on it, but it may be a good idea to at least, like, if you need to put a reference to it to be able to package it, it might be good to just sort of give yourself a little breathing room where you say, this is alpha, I created this repo, there is a dummy version that will come up with whatever caveats, and then whatever is needed to be done on KK is to pull it in, even if you're only pulling in the dummy is in place. And then you can iterate on that after the code freeze because it's a separate repo, but everything that needs to happen in the KK repo is done and dusted by the code freeze.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
and
for
if we need
taking
a-
this on, Nick.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and if we need a separate repo, just let me know. We can get a new repo created and the Kubernetes SIGs org pretty easily. Like that can happen within a few days or even like 1 day turnover. So let us know. We can make that happen.
Okay. Yeah, we might as well do that sooner rather than later. So I will sync with you this week sometime, or actually probably next week, and we'll get that.
Okay. Or we can even propose to have like say tell each cloud provider their own external repos to host it in Subpackage or whatever. That might be
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do for individual providers. I just think it might be nice to have a reference implementation that is somewhere central if we can do that. I mean, the alternate is if you want to make the Amazon your reference implementation, that's fine too. But I do think that one way or the other, we should have an example of what the credential provider service looks like.
Is
Yeah.
it possible to do with this secret one here? Like, what is this? This is the Docker keyring. Sorry, go ahead.
As long as it uses the same interface, then yeah, it should be fine.
Okay. Like, I also wouldn't be opposed to to build the exec implementation in the same entry here, so we have a side-by-side comparison of it, and then once it's done, we can just port it over to the respective other2 repos. I'm not opposed to that either.
Yeah, we could do that, but is that just kind of adding an extra step in there without much benefit? Or what is the benefit, I guess?
I think that the big thing is we need a reference implementation so that people have somewhere to start.
Yeah.
If they modify it before they copy it into their repo, at least it gives them a starting place.
Yeah. The reason for that would be if you're building if you start your reference implementations in this directory, you're essentially forced to build a reference implementation per existing entry one.
Okay, so you're trying to avoid the situation where I just do the work in KK and delete all the providers and then don't give people an alternative.
Well, no, I mean we would make sure that wouldn't happen, but I think if it's just easier if we're building it alongside, people can see what the difference is, and it's more of a people problem, I think.
I think the part of it's the people problem, but also for us to legitimately say it's alpha, I think we should have at least one cloud provider where it works and it can be demonstrated.
Yeah.
So if it's Amazon, that's fine. The other cloud providers can use it as a reference and build their own. But I think for us to declare that we've succeeded at alpha, we should be able to show that it works.
Yeah. There's even actually, so I don't know if you guys know about the Harbor project, but I might be able to get someone on the Harbor project to implement our interface for Harbor, which could also be a nice reference implementation because it's a cloud agnostic registry, so that could work.
So is it something you deploy into any cloud and it becomes a registry, or?
Yeah, it's a registry project you deploy yourself, or you pay someone to deploy it for you in your own environment.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Okay, I think that's it though for the agenda, unless you guys want to bring up anything else.
I'm going to beat the drum on the E2E stuff again. Sorry. But at some point, we really do need to sit down and work out. I mean, I realize we're several releases away from the problem, but I believe that it's going to take several releases to actually come up with a solution we can agree on. Once the cloud providers are out of tree, the tests which rely on those cloud providers, I believe, are no longer going to be able to be pre-submit. And that means that we're losing a lot of E2E functionality from our central testing. And it's going to introduce a lot of interesting problems, like things that we used to find in pre-submit get found by post-submit. The granularity of the changes is larger. So instead of knowing which test or which PR broke that E2E behavior, we're going to have a range of things that broke it. It's going to make things more difficult, and I think we need to start thinking about what our testing model looks like post breaking cloud providers out of tree.
Yeah, sounds good. Do you want to just, we can make this P0 for 119 and
I like that
start
idea.
there? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Oh, I have actually another question, totally unrelated. Is anybody from SIG Cloud Provider going to KubeCon EU?
Yes, I am. I'm not 100%, but I am an almost certain I'm going.
Yeah, I'm
just with
almost
the-
certainly going.
Got it. Do we know what the presentation is going to look like for the SIG? Basically, is there opportunity to talk about credential provider in there?
Yes, I think so. So
Yeah.
like I submitted a very broad kind of CFP, but essentially, well, so we also know that like we only have one session, we have only one 35-minute session, so our time is a little shorter than usual. But I had said that like instead of doing like, you know, a slide deck, what I'd like to do instead is do live demos of like us showing users how to migrate from in tree to out of tree for each provider, so that we have like a good recording of like a step-by-step guide on how to do it. And like part of that could be like, for example, like while you demo the AWS provider, you can also show switching from like the ECR provider in tree to out of tree.
Got it.
Which is also like if you want us to, so I was just going to do that. Like I was going to do the demo for AWS, but if you want to take that 5-10 minute slot during the talk to do it, you can do it if you want.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's a good little motivator.
Yeah.
Make sure it works well.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, also Walter, that would mean that ideally the GCU one also works.
No pressure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, and we can still like change the format of the talk if we want. But I think that would be like a good, to me, like that's the best, like, because like preparing a demo to do that for me is way easier than like building slides. So I'd rather just, you know, do that.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think it's more useful for people.
Yeah, and Kendall, if you wanted to do the same thing for OpenStack, if yeah, like, or if you can provide us like with an OpenStack environment,
Yeah, yeah.
that'd be great.
I since Alex Kong can't like attend most of these meetings, he's based in New Zealand. I've been trying to like help bridge him in. So I don't know if he's going to KubeCon EU, but I will be there. So hopefully we can figure something out, because I think that would be really useful for people more than slides, actually seeing how it all works.
Awesome. So yeah, like maybe what we could do is like, yeah, so let me know if you actually want to come on stage with us and like do the OpenStack part.
Yeah.
If not, we can either like, you can either help us like make a demo video of doing it, or
Yeah.
give us an environment and we can try to walk through it.
Yeah, sounds good. I will, after I chat with Alex Kong, I'll definitely let you know.
Awesome.
Cool.
And I will actually suggest for everyone, even if you plan on doing a live demo, I would have a recorded
Yes.
version on your machine anyway, because the KubeCon wireless is and bandwidth is notoriously bad.
Yes. I've also done keynotes before with live demos and they've crashed and burned, so it's been really awesome. Yes, definitely record things.
Yeah, that's a good advice. All right, okay. We're out of time, so see you all in 2 weeks.
Yeah, see ya. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.